Hello, everybody. So excited that you're all here. And I'm super excited because I have such a friend. And I'm so excited because it's the amazing Sheri Salata. Sheri, how are you?
Christy, I'm with you. We're together again.
Yeah, so I just want to stop and say this for a second because Sheri and I were obviously scheduled to do a Facebook Live today on video on Zoom and then go into Facebook Live. And Sheri had something unexpected happen where, with the city that she lives in, the power and internet and everything was turned off. And there's a tendency for when you're going towards a desire or you're doing something, when there's stumbling blocks, and it's like, okay, what are the solutions, right? Most people would stop and go, can't do it, have to cancel it, this is an issue or whatever. And Sheri and I were just like, okay, what are some of these options? What can we do? You can't see Sheri's face, but she's with us in her energy, obviously her voice, she's here. So it's like the old fashioned days when you'd hear someone on the radio get
Yeah.
interviewed.
Oh, am I right? Yes, right. Exactly. It's a little bit of old fashioned and leading edge. And, listen, this is just one of the little perks of living in a small town.
Yes.
When it goes
Yep.
down, it goes.
That's
And then
it.
I am limited technically. So then that's a double whammy. But here we are. Here we are. We're going to have our wonderful chat anyway.
That's it. So I'm so excited for my community to meet you and for you to meet my community in this way because you're such an inspiration. And before I go there, I want to just shout out to Ariel Ford because of Ariel Ford we met. And I have
Yeah.
so many things to thank Ariel Ford for. I mean, the list is just extensive from,
Same.
oh, yeah. So, I mean, 20 years ago when I was trying to become a coach and I was an author, she created a program on how to, create a platform, which got me on my road to figuring out how to get my book out there. And so from introducing me to the most amazing editor to, nominating me to TLC, which is then where I met you. And she also nominated you to TLC.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
So
my gosh. I didn't know that story, Christy. That's wonderful.
oh, and I could go on and on and on. There are so many different points in time for Ariel. She was one of the first people that promoted my coaching academy when I first launched it. I mean, I have so many pivotal moments with Ariel Ford and even the council when all doors were, to publish The Desire Factor, and two of my literary agents that really wanted to promote my books before and had success because they had hit the New York Times. It was a closed door and neither one of them would pitch the book. And so the council gave me an image of, connecting with Ariel Ford. And so I reached out to Ariel and I said, will you, be the lit agent on my book? And she came back within seconds in an email and said, no way, Jose. And I, that story because it's in The Desire Factor, because it's like a lot of times we get a next step, and even if we take the action and it doesn't seem to turn out exactly the way we want it, we need to keep going, keep moving. And so that's where we come to you. So before we officially get in, I want to just tell everybody that Sheri is amazing. She actually is an author herself. She has this beautiful book, such a great book on boundaries. And oh my God, there's so much depth, but wonderful book called The Beautiful No and Other Tales of Trial, Transcendence, and Transformation. And it was actually named an Amazon Editor's Choice Best Memoir and Apple Must Listen audiobook. So you must check that out. And she also worked for and with Harpo Productions, and went from being a 7-Eleven store manager to literally being one of the most influential and powerful people, because she was with one of the most beloved brands on the planet, which is Oprah. And she was Oprah's executive producer. So, Sheri, I've heard your story, but I want to hear the ins and outs of how did you manifest this, becoming literally like a manager of a 7-Eleven and then going into becoming the executive producer and literally right-hand person for Oprah Winfrey.
Oh my gosh. Twists and turns and twists and turns and more twists and more turns. Basically, I had this huge desire to be significant and But I didn't really know what it meant, and I didn't have the tools, and I certainly did not have this book, my friend. So, I got out of college, didn't go through the interviews, didn't have a job, ended up in a typing pool to make ends meet. And then from there, it was like, well, this isn't it. Should I go to law school? My dad said, yes, you may go at night and pay for it yourself. I'm like, well, that's not it. And I ended up managing a toy store a couple times, ended up in the 7-Eleven manager training program, became a supervisor, which that's the hardest job that you'll ever have. Convenience store managers, my God, I love them so much, because it is like being, as I imagine, in the military, very hard work. And I moved back to Chicago from Texas, where I was living, kind of with my tail between my legs. I felt like an abject failure, living in my parents' basement with my dog, no job, no money, and I'm 27. It was bad news. And I could see my family was so scared that I was going to amount to nothing, and they couldn't figure out how I'd gotten so off track. And what happened is, I had this yearning, I had this desire, please show me what I'm meant to do, show me what I'm meant to do. And I got this big break where one of my dearest friends, her fiance was an executive producer at an ad agency in Chicago. And he basically, I kind of twisted his arm to hire me as his secretary, they called it at the time. And I was a terrible secretary, but he taught me how to produce. And that was kind of like part one of my Desire Factor story. It's like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is a combination of my little Sheri bossy pants self and my creative drive and yearnings and the artistry, my gifts in for writing and editing and music. So I felt like, okay, this is what I should be doing. But as time went on, 6 years came and went, and I realized whatever I was doing, I needed to put my heart and soul into, and it wasn't going to be hairspray. So then I left to freelance, thinking maybe if I get different clients, I'll feel differently. And I was terrible at freelancing, which is basically dialing for dollars, trying to, get work, get gigs. And I ended up broke again, couldn't pay my rent. Now I'm 35. Now I'm 35 years old. So now it's bad. When I can't pay my rent again, I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but it wasn't the right thing. And things got pretty crazy. And a couple years before, I had sent a resume into the Oprah Winfrey show. It was a little thing going on across the river. And I thought, well, gosh, maybe that's it. And they summarily rejected me. I'm in advertising, that's television, completely different. And so by this time, again, freelance agency producer, no work, no money, older, not further along in my career. And in desperation, a friend got me an interview with a top ad agency guy. And so then in my mind, I'm like, okay, it'll be a better agency with better accounts. And he all but hired me in the room for what was an enormous sum of money at the time. Too many benefits to name, and just told me to go home and wait for the phone to ring, and the phone never rang. And I got one of those form letters from HR saying, we're not hiring at this time. So basically, in terms of all the principles of the Desire Factor, Christy, I did very few of them, but the one that was the most powerful for me and really unlocked the career of my dreams was I had tried so many things. I kept forcing my way here, there, and everywhere. And finally, my hands were open and there was nothing for me to do but surrender.
Yeah.
I opened my hands, I surrendered, and within a very short time, I got a message on my answering machine saying, oh, We were cleaning out a old closet, found your resume. Will you come in and freelance here at the Oprah Show? I was 35 years old. It was a fairly entry-level position. I would have done it for free, and it was almost for free. The salary was very low, and I didn't care because I knew in my heart, my soul, my body, my gut, that this was everything coming together.
So a couple of things, because you said it was the one principle is surrender, but really you felt you were aligned in it when you received that desire to, to be more, to do more, to you knew that you had a bigger purpose, right?
Yeah, I did.
That's you received the desire. And that is so key.
That's right.
Is that you didn't go, and maybe ask you, I need to ask you that because I don't know. Did you say, well, who am I to be bigger, or who am I to do bigger? Or, did you just receive that desire?
Oh, no. I didn't have that. Because I had gotten so much validation for academic achievement and for other kinds of things that I felt I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I know I have talent. I know I am smart. I feel like I am destined, and I can't figure out how to unlock this door. That's what it felt like.
Gotcha. So the how of all that, really, you just was completely surrendered, and then it came through.
Yeah. Yes, after many years, because I kept myself, and even though I didn't know the how, I didn't surrender the how. I just kept saying, okay, toy store. Maybe I'll be a toy store mogul. Oh, no, 7-Eleven. Oh, maybe I'll run 7-Eleven someday. The whole Megillah. No, it was like I had walked into a costume shop and was trying on new costumes as fast as possible and getting nowhere. Like I didn't have a look. But yeah, and so it just felt like a frenetic churning without surrender, without joyful expectancy. Instead, I was like fearful. I'm never going to become anything. I'm never going to be able to pay my rent. That was the story going on in my mind.
Right. So you get the job, right? You're working now at Harpo, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how do you go from, this advertising person that you got hired to be to literally the executive producer?
Yeah, right. That is, let me tell you this. I'm sure people are still scratching their heads over how that happened.
It's incredible.
That's when I tell you that there was a divine order to it, because, the support departments didn't necessarily jump over and start working in the show group, with the show producers. The support department supported the show, and I was in a support department. So I got plucked by the then executive producer, Diane Hudson, to be the book club producer. And there was a rapport between Oprah and I. We had a rapport. I think we were working out together. We had a rapport. She was inviting me on vacation. So we had developed a personal relationship and a rapport. And I was just doing my thing. Somebody had given me really good advice. My former boss, Perry, had told me, just do, because he's like, you're going into probably one of the most competitive environments ever. These people in this company are top notch. Just go in and do exactly what they hired you to do, and do it as well as you can, and then let it unfold. Don't try to make anything happen. And I took that advice all the way to the EP chair. I never lobbied for a promotion or asked for a promotion. In fact, I was startled almost every time. Like, whoa, really? That was usually my response. Really?
But you really me. But you took the action. That's one of the things I talk about in the desire factor. You took the action and you did whatever you were doing, whatever was asked of you in that moment, with fullness of who you were.
Yes.
Right?
That's for sure. Well, and here's the quality of the action. It was the action that was in front of me. this is what they had given me to do. This is your job. Do that really, really well. And don't, eyes on your own paper. Don't get worried about what the next step is and what the next step is. And I'm sure for some people, a different way could work. For me, when I just stayed true and honored the role at hand, then I almost drew the next step right to me without doing anything.
Right. Yeah. That's how it works, right? It's not overthinking it. It's not overdoing it. It's not trying to overcompensate. It's doing what's literally handed to you. I love that, eyes on your own paper. It's like staying in your own lane, right? It's like you're doing the fullness, the best you can in that moment with what you're doing. And then the rest unfolds from there. So you actually were doing more steps than you even think.
I'm sure. Well, listen, it felt like I was just like spinning in place. Is what it felt like. So yes, I'll leave it to you, who is an expert at understanding how these things unfold. But I can only tell you what it felt like, which is like I was just sitting. I was like spinning. I was like on a gerbil wheel. Like, whoo, is anything ever going to work out for me? That was the way I used to think. That's for sure.
Wow. And so, you guys had obviously on the show, I remember my sister, and this is even, I think, before you started working for Oprah, because you started in 1995. And it was, I think, 1997 when my sister took her life. And she used to watch Oprah every single day. If Oprah had, whoever it was, Marianne Williamson on the show, and Marianne Williamson had a book, my sister went to the bookstore. There was no online back then. Went to the bookstore, got the book, right? And she was trying everything to try to make herself feel better. And she would get just glimpses of hope and feeling better when she would watch the show. And I love Oprah for that, and because in her turmoil of life, like that's the gift that Oprah gave her. And my sister actually gave me my very first personal development book. It was by Barbara DeAngelis in 1993, because she watched Barbara DeAngelis on Oprah. So she went and got me the book. Yeah. And that was my first introduction into, and then because Oprah was going to therapy, my sister was like, I'm going to go to therapy. And, so there were moments that she got, it was such a gift watching Oprah, because she was struggling too. And I think it helped her feel like, wow, there's someone else struggling also. And this is what she did it. So all these little points of hope, were like little, kind of like little spiritual breadcrumbs on her path to try to make her feel better. Unfortunately, I was saying to my husband the other day, I wish my sister would have had the counsel, because she really could have got herself healed.
Wow.
Right. So it just makes me appreciate.
Well, maybe, I often think, this is what I usually think, Christy, is that she is working with the council.
Right.
Right. That's why the council, she's playing some kind of key role for sure.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So awesome. So so here you are now, you're working for Oprah, right? And it's so, I have to tell you this, I don't think I ever shared this with you. And this is something that I don't think I've shared with a lot of people, but the desire factor is not necessarily about the end manifestation, even though the human wants to go, okay, I want the job, I want the husband, I want the baby, I want the trip, I want the purse, I want the whatever it may be. My desire factor 20 years ago when I became an author was I wanted to become a New York Times bestselling author. I wanted to go on the Oprah Winfrey show, right? And there was something else. I'm totally making a blank right now. Something else I wanted to do. But two out of those three came to fruition, right? And I even, back in the day, there was a PR person that had a program called How to Get on Oprah. And I bought it and I digested it and I did everything. I was definitely not ready to go on Oprah. But even until the time that the very last show, I was sitting there with my phone thinking, I don't know, maybe someone will cancel and they'll need a guest, right? And I was like hopeful up until like, okay, the show's over with, like that's it. But it never was about getting on Oprah. It was who I became in that quest to get on Oprah. Because even though I may never go on Super Soul Sunday, or maybe I will, who knows, but who I became in the process of that desire to go on Oprah is so much more juicier part of the journey. Because everything I did, whether it was like how to get on Oprah, you got to get media exposure because Oprah's not just going to put anybody on her show. Oh, okay. So let me do local. Let me do, so I started getting all this different, experience, right? And then created a media reel and got on the Today Show and then got on the Hallmark Channel and the Marilyn Dennis Show in Canada.
Yeah.
And, did all these different things. And the exposure that those things gave me and the credibility and, some of those things, it's like all of that has been part of my journey. The desire factor was to get on the Oprah show. But look who I became and look who I've helped along the way, right? And look at the lifestyle I've created.
What shows you've been on. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's the lifestyle I created for myself, for my family, it's been amazing. And so it's like, I'm grateful for that desire factor, even though it hasn't manifested. And I think that's what most people need to understand is that, yes, you have a desire and you do everything in your part to flow with that desire, because most people go, well, it didn't happen, so this doesn't work, right? It's like, no, the divine, it's kind of like Marianne Williamson, right? It's like, Marianne really well. That's what one of my desires was, to get on Oprah, to be a New York Times bestselling author, and to have Marianne Williamson do the testimonial or endorsement on the cover of my book, which now the desire has.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, that's a whole nother story. But so here we are, right? We're in the middle of the election, or even before. Marianne gets that desire. She gets that imprint in her mind to run for president, right?
Right.
Now, the divine knows the audience, because the divine would never give me that desire. As a matter of fact, I had clients during the election going, Christy, you should run for president. I'm like, no, thank you. That is nowhere near my desire factor. That is like, right? But she got that and ran with it. She didn't become the president, but who she became in the process, and more importantly, who all those other people, they got introduced to her work, they got introduced to her light, they got a different, perspective on things politically. And there was a lot of good that happened just by her running. The end all be all wasn't she like, I haven't been on Oprah, she didn't get to be the president. But man, who we both became in the process of attainment following that desire is where the juice is what the divine's all about.
That's where the juice is. That's the thing. It's going to show up. It might not look exactly like you thought it was going to look, but it has all the stuff, all the emotions, all the joy, all the excitement. Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah. And that's the fun of it. So I appreciate you, because you're pretty particular in what you endorse. And I was very grateful that when I reached out to you, you're like, yeah, I want to read it. And I love the fact that you read it, and your endorsement was just it was so real. And
oh my God, this is a handbook, Christy. This is a handbook. This is Marianne's right. I was just rereading what she said. It's that clear and helpful guide. This is a handbook. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. You want love, you want money, you want, the job of your dreams. This is how you want to learn how to become a master manifester. You want to be happier. You want to be joyful. This is how you do it. There it is, right in this book.
I love it. I love it.
Search no further.
There you go. Sheri says, there it is, the handbook. I like to say it's the owner's manual for human beings.
Yeah, it's really something. And as you know, I have spoken directly with the council several times, and that was, it's like something has all come together for you, Christy. Something has, like, your desire factor is, woo, it's coming in hot. It's coming in hot. It is, it's like you must have at one time say, I want to be somebody who literally turns the world on its axis, because that's what's happening now. It's amazing.
Thank you. I remember saying years ago, 20 years ago, I told somebody, I want to be the next Marianne Williamson. And then I don't want to be Marianne, but I want to have the impact that Marianne has had.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Hello. Yeah.
And then along the journey, I'm like, gosh, I would love to do what Esther Hicks does, right? Because I have Esther,
yes.
right? And then, so it's all.
We love Esther.
Yes, we do.
And here's what I love. I love more and more and more and more women, that divine feminine taking its place in spiritual leadership and guiding us forward. It's a very different energy, and I think we're craving it. We're craving it.
Yeah, for sure. We need it more now than ever.
Yeah.
And just like that, we need to start. You imagine a world. This is where I go, and I'm going to get emotional. Do you imagine a world where everybody allows themselves to receive their divine self, and with that, the giving, the receiving of the desire for them, and they follow their desires, they align with their desires, they just feel so good moving towards their desires, and they know that their own desire is a very personal connection with their divine. It's a co-creative dance. Yeah, and that has nothing to do with anybody else, and that you can actually manifest what you want in your life. You imagine a world where people feel their power in that way?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I have tears in my eyes as you're saying that. Yes, I can't imagine that world. That is the world of my dreams. And here's the other thing I want to say that I love about the desire factor is there is, from the old patriarchal, we'll decide what the morality is, and we'll tell you what you should want and not want systems that our parents were raised in, our grandparents were raised in, our great-grandparents were raised in, to be able to embrace the idea that material things are just energy. Money's energy, material things are energy. You've got a rose, you've got a car, you've got a this, you've got a that. Like, being playful and joyful in this life experience where you're manifesting happiness, you're manifesting a new handbag. It's all part of it's part of the fun of being in these human suits. And I think removing the stigma and understanding that, things are energy.
Yes.
They're energy. And it's an exchange. It's an exchange. Things are creative. They're innovative. Somebody once dreamed them up. I just think there's a leading edge, spiritual, new, higher level consciousness way of looking at the material things in your life with reverence and appreciation and love, and not being afraid that, you're to this or you're to that, not attaching these ridiculous moral judgments to them.
Agreed. And I've consulted, I just love that, Sheri. And I've consulted the council on this because I'm like, is the story true? Was there really a Garden of Eden where God gave this beautiful tree and there was an apple and then some kind of snake that talks? I've never seen a snake that talks, by the way. A snake that would talk to her, kind of tempted her to eat the apple. And the council said to me, and it's, how do you know of your old God? Because the God I used to know, because I was raised in a certain religion, was, he was like Santa Claus, right? He was sitting on a cloud somewhere I couldn't see, and he was watching my every move. I was either good or bad. So that judgment was either I was going to go to heaven or I was going to go to hell. So it was like a checklist for Christy. And I figured, I'm such a bad girl, I might as well go all the way. I mean, I might as well have some fun with it because I'm not going to heaven. So if I'm going to go to hell, let's have some fun. Right? But what I've come to know is there isn't that kind of God. There's this universe that loves all of us. And if we're going to be given an apple, that God's going to say, here's an apple, enjoy it.
That's right.
There's not going to be a God that
That's
says, here's
right.
an apple. You can't have it. It's like, what
That's
BS
right.
is that?
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. It's like really just kind of shedding. Who says? That's what I say to myself these days, because I'm still extracting and alchemizing old beliefs that I know are not mine. So like when I have that kind of judgmental, judgy thing going on, or that fear that I'm too this or too that, I say this to myself. This has become very helpful. Who says? Who says that? Who says? Do you believe that? Where did you pick that up from? Who says? Because I just want to check myself. I want to have a child's mind and enjoy and roll around in the loveliness of this human experience. I don't want to be all bound up in beliefs that, from people and systems that aren't even here anymore.
Right. Exactly. It's the old, the council said to me one time, they said, remember back in the day, people used to listen to music on a radio, and then it became a record player or a record. And then it became an 8-track, and then it became cassette, and then it became CDs. And now people download their music. Music has evolved, but spiritual principles haven't. Bam.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, not anymore.
Right.
Anymore, not
Exactly.
Book,
Exactly.
Because this book, I mean, this is your spiritual handbook, and this is going to help you. The desire factor. It's going to help you kind of peel away that the old thinking that was implanted in you and is running your life and creating you and blocking you from the joy you could be living.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, so grateful for you. Your wisdom is just, oh my goodness. So
Yes.
you can all go to SheriSalata.com to learn more about Sheri. She's also on Instagram. She's all over the place. Just Google her. Google
Yay.
her. You
Yay.
find her.
Yay.
Sheri, I seriously, when I say that you are one of the people that I am so looking forward to seeing, and that I truly am, I just enjoy our time together. I enjoy our depth conversations, that when we get together, you're one of my favorite parts now of TLC. And just so grateful for Ariel introducing us and you being in my life and the light that you are in this world. Thank you so much for being here.
I feel the same way. Thanks everybody. Thanks for everybody for participating energetically in this conversation. I'm going to have a great day. Woo!
Yes. I love you. Thank you, sweetie pie.
I love you too. Okay.
And for all of you, you can go to thedesirefactor.com to order your copy, and you can actually get, if you purchase 10 books, which you could give away as gifts, have people learn this with you. You can donate them. You can do whatever you want. You can go to, I think Sheri just dropped off. You can go to thedesirefactor.com/10 books, and you're going to get a free group coaching session with the council for 12 months. You'll get 12 sessions for $197. This is normally a $3,000 value. So when you buy 10 books, you get 12 months of group sessions with the council, imagining what you can release in your own beliefs and programming, and really start to embody the desire factor. So appreciate you all so much. See you tomorrow. We have the amazing, my friend, Lisa Nichols. Take care, everyone. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.